What's going on, friends? James Nguyen here with the Alpha Red Comic Channel for a surprise stream, something that I was trying to work on for the day before Christmas, but it didn't work out because internet does internet stuff, and I didn't get Ryan's acceptance of my invitation. So unfortunately, his campaign is over, but we're still going to talk about Nephilim, his comic and his campaign, how he put it together. All the things about the book Nephilim and his journey on creating it and putting it out there, putting it on a crowdfunder. We'll lament about how hard that is and lament about the marketing side, the non-creative side, and all the things that you guys tune into the channel and try to glean some. Oh no, my camera! I put up my hand and my stupid camera. Okay. AI is great, but AI doesn't know. Anyway, so we're gonna have him on. I'm gonna do my music thing. Turn on a little bit of Alpha Red in the background there, and then we're gonna bring to the stage Mr. Ryan Dube.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's applause.
Yeah,
nice.
Right.
Nice. I love the studio audience.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody?
I wish there were. Right.
Glad to be here. Now, are you
me
standing or are you sitting?
I'm standing.
Oh,
I stand for these things.
Yeah. No, I have a standing desk as well. I just felt like sitting for. I was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. No, I normally I have a sitting desk, but like for my live streams and things, I do.
Because you're in the attic.
I am in the attic.
Pushed you to the attic.
The little slanted wall here. This is like
the
so
pitch.
Like, my desk is like, so I have two computers. Like I have a work computer, which we can talk about, like independent creators having a day job, and so that's the day job. This is like the fun stuff. This is the YouTube stuff, and this is what we'll talk about is the marketing side of creating.
Nice. So you stand for fun. So that's
so I used to stand for work too. Yeah. But like my feet were hurting. And my ankles and my feet were like swollen, and my wife is like, "It's because you're standing." And I'm like, "But I have to stand, or else my rear end gets as big as what my feet were. What was happening to my feet?" And she's like, "You got to sit down because you can't walk around, you can't do all that stuff." So,
exactly. You wake up in the morning and your feet, are sore. And you don't understand why the pads of your feet are just so sore, and you're just like, oh man, this sucks getting old. But it's mainly just standing for a long period of time or whatever in one spot. So
for sure. Yeah. But that's what we do, right? Because we're comic book creators, and we just muscle through. I don't know if you have like hand are there things wrong with your arm?
Carpal tunnel?
Yes and no. Like it stops whenever I stop drawing. So like
no. Okay, so my issue is that for my thumb, my index, and my middle finger, they get numb.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so I have to kind of get that circulation going or whatever back in there if I'm doing it for too long. It's better now because I used to press shirts or screen print shirts.
Sure.
And so the tips of my fingers, because when they would come, the shirts would come through the heat press or the heater, and you'd pick them up and you'd place them on the table so they wouldn't get wrinkled. The shirts are scorching hot because they're coming out of like 700 degrees, and so you're touching. I only grab them with both hands, but just with my 3 fingers, and so the tips of my fingers, like I didn't have any feeling for a bit, and I was like, This is not what I don't want to grow up like this. This is not what I want to do. I was like,
do you draw digitally or do you draw by hand? Like, how does that?
No, I do both. I'm a traditional artist that kind of got into digital art. So I bought a Wacom or Wacom, however you want to call it, Cintiq monitor drawing pad.
Okay.
And then I have a travel one. And I was drawing. We went on a cruise, and I took the pad on my cruise for the comic, and I was drawing when the family wasn't together, and we didn't have anything going on. So I for the cruise I drew my first cover for the cover art for the comic. So I was like, it's digital art it's definitely there's a learning curve to it. So
for sure. The one reason why I don't do it is because of the learning curve. That's like another barrier for me that separates me from a completed drawing.
The thing is, the thing is with digital art. So this behind me right here, the Angels versus Demons, Superman family or Kryptonians versus the Bat family, which you can't see because of my name. But I took this from, there was a scene in the Batman versus Superman movie where there's angels versus demons, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. What if it was, the Bat family versus Superman family? So I drew Superman, Supergirl, Calvin Ellis, Steel, Superboy, and I put them on top, and then on the bottom I have Nightwing and Robin and Red Hood and all that, and I drew them in the respective positions or whatever. But that's all digital art, and it really helped me out because that was my learning curve right there. I was like, you know what, I have an idea, I know what I want to do, I need to understand how digital art works so I can implement that, so I can expand my reach as far as like what all I can do.
Was it for speed? Was it for like how does it help you? Is it for composition, speed of
so digital art is different in the way that it feels. So when I do traditional art, I can there's more control for me because I'm still learning digital art. So but with traditional art, like if I have a pencil, I can control there's pen pressure on the tablet, but the pencil pressure that you have, or the the ink that you're using, or markers or whatever it is, colored pencils, pastels, what have you, you can actually, you can see the result immediately, and you can see how it is. The cool thing about digital art is that if you mess up, you can always go back and like I'm gonna clean slate it, right? Delete layer, and start over, and it's like, okay, cool. So but with digital art, it's just sort of like, when I'm drawing, I'd mess up or something, and I'd turn the pen around and I'd erase, and then I'd use my pinky to push nothing, because there's no erase residue. So I'm just like, okay, well, I guess there's nothing there, but it was still a habit, and I still did it. So I was like, okay, it's just something, you just sort of instinctively always do. And the problem with that I have, or I'm still having with digital art converting from traditional, is that you want to, when you're doing digital art, you start with like a pencil layer, and then you change from the pencil layer, and you add another layer.
So when you say pencil layer, is that also digital? It's
all digital. So when you're drawing in digital, you're drawing in different layers. Like you have your base layer, which is your paper basically, and then you have your first layer, which is maybe your first character, and the different characters can be on different layers.
Sure.
One of the issues that I would have with is that maybe I'm drawing on one layer, and then I'm like, I look at something else I'm drawing, and I'm like, oh no, wait, I'm drawing on the wrong layer. And I'll like, there's like a little eyeball that you cancel out, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, no. So there's pencil where it shouldn't be, or there's markings where there shouldn't be.
Right.
And so I'll erase that, and then I'll add it to the correct layer. And there's stuff like that, because it's just, it's not something that you're just sort of used to. So you're just like, all right, well, learn my lesson going forward, but you never do, because I still have the same issue.
I do the same. That's the frustrating. That's the frustration that I have sometimes when I'm coloring myself, which I rarely do. Like I'll have a flats layer.
Yeah.
I'll have like a highlights layer.
Yeah.
And then like just a color layer or whatever.
And sometimes I put the highlights on the flats.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, because that ruins my flats.
Exactly.
So I'm like, okay, well, that's no good. So, and that was another, sort of learning curve is learning, the flats layer, and then, adding, highlights and shadows or whatever. Actually, and that was another thing that I learned, is that like, maybe you don't want to do a shadow layer. Maybe you start off your flats layer or your base layer is the darkest, that's the shadow colors, right? And then all you do is highlight from there, because you can always go, and especially with print, you want to not go completely dark, because then when it prints, it's muddy.
Okay.
So then you want to start off with like, the darkest layer that you can get away with in print, and then just go lighter from there as you add layers on top of it. And learning all the different transition layers and things like that. Just there's a big, I'm still learning, but I'm an artist, so I'm going to figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
And, But with what I was saying with traditional is that you start off with pencil, and then maybe you go back over your pencil, or maybe you erase some of it and you make darker lines, or you start with that layer. When I was going into digital doing a pencil layer, I had the same mentality to where I would erase and then draw again on the pencil layer instead of making a whole new layer and just ignoring what I did below.
Yeah.
And so my pencil layer would actually turn out to be in length of working with it, it would actually turn out to be my ink layer. And I'm like, wait, that's these are rough. I was like, I was using a different pencil. I'm
Right.
using the G pen, and it's like, okay, well, that was a waste of time. Or I could have could have been faster had I just done the whole layers thing, pencil inks layers, pencil layers, and or not deleted, but just kind of like hide the pencil layer so that it's not no longer a distraction or whatever, and I'm not trying to modify it. Another positive thing for digital art is that you can not change perspective, but I mean you can do that as well, but you can also change proportion easier.
Yeah,
right.
That's one of the things that I've seen that I'm jealous of. The position of the head. Like if you lower the head or you make it a little bit smaller, the body looks bigger, and it changes the whole mood of the image. And so the ease that I see guys are able to do that is what makes me jealous. And I go, oh, maybe I will go digital. And then I'm like, nah.
So the traditional caveat to that, or like for like, is a light box. So if you have a light box, you just have your light box set up, and then you turn your paper over, and then there's your negative. And then what you would do is you would draw on the opposite side of the paper of where because when you're looking at an image from one direction, your eyes have a visual of that perspective. But when you flip the paper over, your eyes has to adjust and then you start seeing, okay, well maybe that arm is too long. Maybe the eye is not in the right spot. Maybe the nose isn't pointing in the right direction. Something like that. So
yeah. Before we get too far in the weeds, let's talk about your comic.
Yes.
Because we can talk about process and stuff.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll just be stuck with the nerds that understand what the heck we're talking about. Like I don't care about the different layers.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there are a lot of independent creators like us who want to hear the benefits of going traditional or doing it digital, and maybe they are more tech pro tech or
savvy.
Like I'm tech adverse in many ways. I still use Photoshop. I do all that stuff. But let's talk about Nephilim a little bit so that we don't forget to introduce people to your creation. And why don't you walk us through, like the elevator pitch for Nephilim, and then we can start talking about the journey of how you got there.
Okay. Yeah. No. So the inception of this character kind of came about with my children. And so we used to play a video game on the PlayStation called DC Universe Online.
Okay.
And in that game, you have the ability to create your own villain or hero. And so right off the bat, you could come up with the way the character looked. You choose its power set, and then you name the character as well. So and then you go out and you run around in Gotham, Metropolis, Themyscira, or wherever, and you basically just go through these missions and things like that. And the character that you created, which is a non-iconic character, it's not Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, or any of them. They're all there, but you have your own character. Like you could create Alpha Red, and he could run around. He could look exactly like you drew him, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, this is so awesome, this, and it would just get your internal creative juices flowing, and you're like, oh man, this is because it was just, that game was just so much fun for us.
Yeah.
And when it first launched, the community was a little, it was different than it is now. It wasn't, the whole free to play model and all that, or you have just pay to play or whatever it is nowadays. But in this, we created heroes and villains, and one of the characters that I created was the Nephilim. And I was like, okay, cool, I created the way he looked, and he looks a little bit different, here, because you're sort of limited by the sort of paper doll. A lot of video games have those, where you can modify your character and give them different gauntlets or chests or pants or boots or whatever. Yep. And so I would go through and find the stuff that I liked and thought was okay, well, I want classic superheroes. So that's sort of my sort of I guess intro to the inception of this character. Right. And then it got me thinking. I was like, you know what, let me just kind of dive into this a little bit and kind of explore what the possibility of this character could be, because with traditional comics, if you Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, they always go back and they always try to redo the same stuff, because these are characters that are over in a couple of years over 100 years old.
Right.
And so how many times can you see Superman coming from Krypton, or Batman's parents getting shot in the alley, and they're even getting there's fatigue in the theater because no one wants to see Martha and Thomas Wayne getting shot for another another time, and the pearls hit the ground, and there's another shooter, and it's the same stuff. It's like, okay, well, how many times can we see this before it gets old? Right. And they're timeless characters because they're characters that were created before I was even born, and they're still around, and they're still trying to have people identify with them. I was like, well, you know what? Like these newer characters like Blue Beetle or, Squirrel Girl or whatever, there's a new audience out there. That's why like Guardians of the Galaxy hit so well, because it was something that no one really knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. They were sort of a B-list, ensemble cast or group. And that's why it hit so much, because Marvel's, movies, they kind of got into a cookie cutter kind of thing where it was like, okay, you have the hero, the antagonist, the protagonist, the heroine, or the damsel in distress, and the different power set and a change of city. And they would just, it was a cookie cutter kind of thing where all the movies were very easily the same. They just, the only thing that made them different were the power set, the personality of the character, and that was pretty much it. They changed a little, some situations, but the basic model or the basic story arc was usually the same. And so they would just like, copy paste until finally after Endgame, it kind of got old, and everybody kind of caught on to that after, I guess around Ant-Man, when that came out, everybody's like, okay, well, these kind of are the same. And then, Disney Plus came around. They couldn't really do anything there because they had to change the formula because it was a different format. Yeah. But it didn't really hit, didn't really resonate. That's why, where's Moon Knight? Where's Shang-Chi? Where's all these other characters that they tried to introduce, and they just kind of like shelved them. Yeah. And there you go. Well, we need to bring back Robert Downey Jr. because we don't know what to do anymore. Right. So anyway, back to the Nephilim, I was like, you know what? Let me come up with something new, something different. And there is nothing new under the sun, but you can come up with a new twist on something, right? And that can very well be something that is newer to audiences, and you don't have the backstory, you don't know his parents. Maybe they didn't get shot in an alley, maybe he's not from a distant planet. What's interesting or new about this character? What makes him different? What makes him unique? And and that was sort of how I wanted to approach it. And so I started world building. And like I said, this is from 2010, so I've had plenty of time to do so. And so we have our characters, supporting cast, all that, and it's been a fun journey. It's been a really fun journey to come up with the story arc, the story beats. We have 5 comics would get us to the first story arc. 10 comics I'd be able to complete my full intent of the story. Yeah. And this is comic number 1. And this is basically an intro into his world. I wanted to see how palatable this character is to my target audience. And my target audience is roughly about, late teen, early 20s, and beyond. But my target is mainly younger audiences, because I feel like, there's like my son, there's a lot of people that are into manga, and sort of they like those types of stories. But in him sharing some of the manga with me, I see that there's common trend there as well. Where a lot of the manga for me, when I see it, oh, this plays out like a video game. So you start at level 0 and you go to level whatever it is to sort of not age out, but to be the height of whatever Super Saiyan, whatever it is.
To win the video game, to beat the big boss,
and that's pretty much it. Yeah, and it's like, oh, you're a girl. Oh, I'm so awkward, and and all of the characters are basically very, very similar, very much the same. And because when they first came up with the manga style and look, it was from a failed attempt at somebody they were trying to break into Disney, but they were like, okay, well, that didn't work, so they just went off and did their own thing. And so that's how the manga style sort of got created. I was I grew up with G1 Transformers and Thundercats and all that. And for me, that's sort of that type of animation, which was starkly different from a G.I. Joe. They didn't look the same as far as how they were drawn, how they were animated, things like that. He-Man, other stuff like that. So but with the Nephilim, I was like, what, I would assume the same thing with Alpha Red. I wanted to draw him in the traditional Americana superhero style.
Sure.
So I didn't want to come up with my own unique look that I knew what I wanted to do, and I was like, what, I want this character to look like he would belong with these other characters that I grew up with.
Right.
And so that's why he looks very superhero traditional.
Yeah.
And
so
his look.
As far as the story goes, what would you say if you had like, I don't know, a minute with a publisher, and they were going to pay for everything, and you said, hey, this is a comic, like, what is the story? What is that? What is the difference? Like, how can you convey to a new reader who might be open to checking out a brand new superhero, and how would you reel them in with the pitch of, hey, check out this first issue without the reasoning behind why you're doing it? You say, hey, pick this up because.
Right. I would say, what, pick this character up because, hey, what's going on? Pick this character up because he has a new power set, which is dark light energy. So that's sort of the biggest thing for me is his power set is from something that is not pure, or is something that is ancient, and he doesn't know where he got it from, and he doesn't quite know how to use it. But what I want to show or demonstrate for him is his struggle in how does he use it with his paradigm. And he's a young character that doesn't understand how the world works yet. So he's going to make mistakes. Sure. And how does he sort of, I want to, basically show the reader how he interacts with the world using the power set that he has.
Right.
And so the consequences of that.
Yeah. Who is the villain? What does he have to overcome outside of being, like, figuring out who he needs to be as a hero with these powers that has to have the character, right? We want a heroic character, someone with the right motivations, who is given this power that he doesn't understand. But are people coming after him to take that power? Is there like an ancient evil that's awakened? Is this more sci-fi? Is there supernatural? I mean, it sounds like there's supernatural stuff, or at least biblical.
So 1, 2, and 4, I would say. It is not sci-fi, but yes, there. So this comic here is sort of an introduction to his world, and in his world, he's very comfortable with what he's doing, and he's sort of one trick pony as well with the dark light energy that he's using. He uses it for to make knuckle bracers and then also a grappling hook, so that he can get to and from fairly easily, because he didn't have anybody to teach him how to use it. Right. So he's just sort of using this to the best of his abilities, because I mean, when you first, like, same thing with us learning how to draw on a digital pad, we have our tricks, and because we're not going to school to learn how to use these different softwares. Like I just picked up Clip Studio, or Clip Studio Paint. I didn't know how to use it, and so I'm doing the best that I can with what I have, with the knowledge that I have. But he, being younger, has more limited knowledge of what he can do and how he can do it. And I just want to show, like, his struggle on how does he utilize something that does have evil origins. Mm-hmm. How does he kind of sift through that and just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to use it this way, and I'm going to use it for what I consider good.
Okay.
So there is an evil out there, and the thing with this first comic here, he sort of kind of comes on the radar of this syndicate, and so I wanted to show like the mafia, the triads, just the different types of organizations that are all stemmed to the same root or the same source.
Sure.
And they're all working for the same source, but maybe they don't know it, right. And so he is eventually going to get to that source, but mainly it's because he's causing so much disruption in their day-to-day activities that he's somebody that they have to take out. They have to say, hey, you know what, this is a nuisance, and so when they focus on him, he then therefore either has to step up or run away, right. Take the costume off, just don't use it again. Yeah. So and he doesn't get to that in this particular comic book, because again, for this one, we're just starting out, and I didn't want to give a complete story arc, but I wanted to set up the character, and I wanted to see if like I said, if this world here was palatable for the readers. And and I'm certainly open to feedback as well. I love the interaction that I've had with people so far on whether it be, I mean, usually it's on YouTube, but I mean, it's like right here, there's him using his dark light as a grapple. Yeah. So but there's so many other things that he's going to be able to use and do with it. Mm-hmm. And I just can't wait. Like, if you look at his hands sort of take on that, that sort of blackness that is, so as the energy is being utilized, it's sort of connecting to himself. So instead of the black lines for the line art, it switches to like white line art. Yeah. And I wanted to show, like, okay, this is sort of there's a visual difference in there's something happening with him internally, because he's sort of born with it. Yeah. And that's why he can tap into it, but he doesn't quite know exactly what it is. Yeah.
So it looks like the campaign is over. Is there a way for people who are discovering this character, your comic, to be able to pick it up now? Are you going to turn it into a storefront? Like,
I am going to for this campaign, there is I have to read up on it, but since my campaign did close last night, there is I did choose an option a while back when I started the campaign to do a what do you call it, an after closeout, I forget what you call it, like a post campaign, like a last minute, or God, I don't know the terminology that they use here.
It's hard. It's hard as an independent creator. Right? Yeah, I saw you had a campaign on Kickstarter, and then now you have a campaign on Indiegogo. There's Fund My Comic. There's a couple of other platforms, and then it's like speaking a different language with each platform.
Man, I'll tell you what, with this one, okay, so I know that you're used to putting things on Kickstarter. So I started on Kickstarter, like you said, and the first day that I put my campaign out, I had a couple of individuals that put like a couple $100 on there, like 500 for one guy, and a little bit more or a little less for this other person, and then they would hit me up, and I know that you get a lot of emails. Oh, yeah. This is what I would, and so I was new to this, and I didn't have a support structure. I didn't have I was reaching out to the community that I knew. or that I, heard and said, hey, you know what, I'd like to reach out to you, collaborate, whatever. And I wanted, those are the sort of the questions that I had, was like, do you always get people, hitting you up saying, hey, you know what, we do marketing for such and such. And the common thing is that they're all at gmail.com accounts.
Yeah.
For the most part, 90 some odd % of them are at Gmail.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I've got this, I've got that, if you, hit me up if you want to, basically pay for our services or whatever it is. And 9 times out of 10, I'm sure that that's a scam.
Yeah.
Not going down that road. I have, like I said, I have a small number of people that I can rely on, but for the most part, I'm doing it myself.
Sure.
But yeah, so like I said, on the Kickstarter campaign, there was somebody that on the first night that I made it go live, or that I went live with it, somebody posted like $520, and I was like, wow, that's amazing, but also crazy. And then but they did that with a message that was and on Kickstarter, it's kind of the same like on Indiegogo, but on Kickstarter there's a section on there that's where you can see people's messages. Mm-hmm. And so the person put a message for all to see. It was like, hey, I'm I've got, blah, 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 and a couple people, and if you want, I like your project. If you want, I can share with my friends who also like backing stuff like this, and whatever. But then they emailed me on the side, and I posted that. I made a video about it, and I posted it. I was like, this is the kind of people that, are reaching out. So what happened was they posted that. I said, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. You don't have to share with anybody else. It's kind of odd that you would ask me if I wanted you to promote my book to other people, because of course I want you to promote my book to anybody and everybody who has ears. But I don't want, I told them, I said, hey, you don't have to do anything. It's all good. I appreciate, the the donation or whatever. And even in that, they were like, oh yeah, I could donate more. And I'm like, okay, here's a scam. And then right after that, right after I politely said, no, I'm good. I'm okay. Thank you very much. Let's, whoever we get is whoever we get. They pulled it out. So on Kickstarter, it shows, backer has pulled their funds or something like that. There's a message that everyone can see, not just, the creator, but everybody can see, this backer has removed their funds. Yeah. And so I was like, well, that's, and so somebody else did the same thing. And I was like, well, that kind of, put, like for somebody that I have no track record, I have no prior, you're on, Alpha, Red number 7, number 8, something like that. And I'm at Nephilim number 1. Right. And so no one knows anything about, I've never fulfilled, any of the, any orders or anything like that yet. And so it put a little bit of a stain on the Kickstarter campaign. So I reached out to the Kickstarter, what do you call them, the safety and trust and safety group. And they were like, yeah, unfortunately we can't, because I was like, hey, could you put a message on there, could you remove the message, because I was like, that had nothing to do with me. They were like, and they put on there, they're like, yeah, this person was actually, was operating in a, I forget the terminology that they use, but they were like, yeah, we've confirmed that they've done X, Y, and Z, but they never removed the person's account. And the message stayed on there the whole campaign. So from day one through, the closeout, it was just on there. So I felt like, well, that was that, cause I mean, with people not, you not having a track record, you already have to say, hey, you know what, trust me to get this product to you. Trust me to get this out. Right. And
what would your advice be to new people like you putting out the first project? They start getting, like, a lot of people don't know that you're going to be bombarded, especially on Kickstarter. You're going to be bombarded with emails telling you that they can take your project to fulfillment in a day, in a week. They're going to get you such and such amount of backers and whatnot. And if you don't know, and if you are innocent to all these crazy scammers, you might believe them, and you might say, okay, everybody kind of puts out $250, $300, and that's how they get their project out in front of more eyeballs. Whoever this person is, they're connected to podcasts, they're connected to whatever, they're connected to indie comic groups that support people. And there are some people out there who are amazing, and I've been supported by some people who randomly find my project, and then I go and click on their who they've supported, and they've supported like hundreds, thousands of projects, and they're awesome, and they just want to see your dream come true. They're just there for you, but that is very rare.
Well, I had a podcast guy reach out to me, and he was like, hey, if you submit your project, and I'll promote it on my show. And I was like, oh, sweet, thanks. And that was the first and last I heard from him. But it was really nice. I was like, hey, he was like, if you record yourself in like a minute blurb or whatever, and kind of like, like you're saying, just sort of, put out a just a small, snippet or presentation of like, why, somebody should, join the project or, help you out, then, I'll go ahead and play that on the show. And so that happened. But my advice for people who have never done this before would be to visually on, that other users can see, always present yourself. And I always presented myself, very, cordial and appreciative and all that. But I would also make it a point, and which I didn't do the first time, which I did on the Indiegogo one, which I also had somebody do that on Indiegogo. But I would put, in the notes where or the messages where people are saying, hey, I know these people and all this other stuff. Says, hey, thank you very much. But I'm only communicating with people here. So any correspondence, I'm not going to email you privately.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be transparent. Let's keep everything transparent. And that's one thing that, like I was saying with the other person, I did email them back because I wasn't sure if it was real or not. With the next one, with the one in Indiegogo, it was some person. They said they were from the UK, and their handle, their email was @mail.com, and I was like, @mail.com, that's a scam. So I was like, and lo and behold, the next day they pulled their hundreds of dollars out, and I was like, okay, cool, there you go. But again, don't put the money in. I don't want to see the money. Just leave it. Just take it. It's not a carrot for me. And this is what I told the other person from the Kickstarter scam, was like, look, I'm more interested in more eyes than I am with money, because I know money is the long game. That'll happen just by continuing to do what you're doing. Sure. It might not be groundbreaking, thousands, millions, whatever, but I would rather have more readers and more eyes on the project.
Exactly. Because
that's the legacy. That's what's going to last. My grandkids might make all the money from the comic. That's fine. Exactly. But my thing is that I'm building a foundation, and the foundation needs eyes. The foundation needs readers. So that would be my advice. Just try to tell people in the little comments or messaging section, all correspondence will only be here. So I'm not emailing people privately.
So what made you choose Kickstarter first? Why did you go Indiegogo, and do you have plans to launch it on any other platforms?
Okay.
And before you answer that, it sounded like you had help putting the campaigns together.
My son.
Okay.
Yeah, my son helped me put it together. So.
Okay. So I didn't know if you hired a service that kind of helped you with the Kickstarter language.
Another thing that I would suggest for anybody starting out, and even now I would still use it, is Gemini is really good. Also ChatGPT, but ChatGPT kind of took a dive in September, but they're very good for helping you, with the language, like you said on the sites. Like, hey, what does this mean? What, like even with Indiegogo is so much more meticulous than Kickstarter. Like there was a lot on Kickstarter, but I'm so glad that I did Kickstarter first, because that sort of prepared me for Indiegogo. Because if I had started in Indiegogo first, I would have been like, oh, I wouldn't have stopped, but I would have been like, man, this is a hassle. This is because there was a product page, but then there was also a reward page, but it was the same information.
Yeah.
And there was certain, like maybe little differences here and there. And I was like, couldn't they just combine this and you can put some, so, and again, when I was doing this, is so funny. Okay. So Kickstarter was going on strike during my campaign.
Oh no.
And then when I started Indiegogo, they got bought out by someone else.
Bro.
So I was like, man, this is like the worst time to like launch something, is like when they're going through these changes or whatever.
Right.
I was like, so maybe that was the reason why I didn't get so much support from, Kickstarter and Indiegogo was really nice. They reached out, they hit me up and all that kind of stuff. I thought that, and it was funny with the situation with the guy's comments and the other person's comments as well. And then saying, backer removed, their funds or, whatever. I was like, this is your website. You're trying to tell me that you don't have a webmaster, that you don't have somebody that can come in and edit a line of code.
They know that they have you over a barrel. There's so few options for the indie creator to go in and try to get in front of eyeballs. That's why Kickstarter is the most popular. They're bigger than Indiegogo by like 5-10 times.
Oh yeah,
and comics are like a nothing burger on their.
Oh yeah. No, it's one of the.
We're not raking in the millions.
Board games get more eyes.
Board games, any kind of tech.
Yeah.
On there.
There was this one on there that was like a Spider-Man thing, but it wasn't. It was this thing that goes on your wrist, and it's an endless like loop of string, and it just zips around. But they were getting millions of dollars. I was like, that's what people are interested in, because they were like, oh, you can knock down these cups. And I was like, what? Knock down cups with a string? Who cares? I was like,
it connects them, right? It connects them to like Spider-Man. That's how they were really.
Oh no, I get it, but it's just silly.
An easy marketing gig. Like you can either make a product that will sell well, that nobody needs or whatever, or you can be a fool like me who says, I want to make good comics for the future of Christian comic kids, for Christians who like comics, and that's my little super small niche, and I don't expect it to hit millions. So
no. I'm in the same boat as far as just having a comic that one of my promises that I've told people, but I don't really I don't have it on my website or anything like that, but is that I won't have a lot of gore, and excessive blood, if there's any blood you see, no sex, but of course my characters are going to have relations or whatnot, because you're going to see of course how did these characters come about. Also no cussing. The English language is screwed up enough, but it is vast enough to be able to use ulterior, vocabulary, vernacular, so that you don't have to use, cussing. It's like, it's what is the point of it? It kind of like there was a SpongeBob show that was just like, oh yeah, these are the sentence enhancers, which actually they're not, because there's only a certain amount and you use them throughout or whatever, and it shows a little bit more a little less care in what you're saying, because you can have something just as impactful, if not more, by using words versus going to or falling back on cussing.
Right. So what was I going to say? Gosh, it was something along those lines about like who your audience is and what your mission is. What is your mission as far as what is going to motivate you to continue past issue number one? Issue number one costs you a lot of time, a lot of money.
Yes.
And so like it can be easy to say, boy, is there a market for this? It doesn't look like it. I'm going to shut the door and then walk away after issue number one. or if issue number 2 is much like issue number 1, you can't get your legs underneath you. What is going to motivate you to get to issue number 10, where that whole story arc is going to kind of pay off?
Yeah, no. I can see how it would thwart people, how it would deter people. My thing is that I've got it's in my brain and I can't get it out. And it's all I sort of think about. And it's like, okay, I need to vomit this out of me.
Yep.
And so I've written out, we have an overarching story, arc, and we have, all of my thoughts are out. They're on paper, and I want to see them. I want to see it come to fruition, right? Yeah. And even if no one purchases it, I am going to continue to draw it, and just see it through. If not just for myself,
yeah,
I don't really have to sell it. Yeah. I am.
Al, just want to say a quick shout out to Al Nickerson. Merry Christmas, and just a quick shout out to Jay Scott, brother Jay Scott in the house. Thank you for showing up. And I got bored. Yay! Hello. I know I showed them earlier, but just wanted to.
No, hey man, I'm glad people are listening. I know they're here for Alpha Red, but
I think people are. It's the day after Christmas.
Oh sure. Well, that was another misstep. Okay, so don't close out on the evening of Christmas, because people are probably more than likely at their house or at their family's house.
Right.
I was like, yeah, you know what? I thought about it. I was like, everybody does that stuff in the morning, and by the end, they're kind of done with their family, and they're just maybe on their phones. So I was like, maybe somebody's wants to watch a podcast or whatever, and right. Kind of like say, hey, you know what? Let me spread some of this cheer. Yeah. But that's not the case. Everybody's off doing their thing.
Ended on a holiday, a holiday as big as Christmas.
Yeah, that's very. That's one of the things that I would not recommend. Also, another thing that you want to pay attention to is not so much your start date. It's more your end date, which I just did that yesterday. But the more popular times to end a campaign is either on Friday night or Saturday night.
Okay.
That's because most people are available. Most people are not with family, or they're not being distracted by a holiday. But those are the best times to start and stop a campaign. If you can, I think with Kickstarter you have to. I think it's a 30-day window.
I think you can pick whatever.
If you pick what, okay. If you because I didn't know that with Kickstarter. I did from September 14th to October 14th. And I was like, there you go. Yeah. So it's like 30 days. But with Indiegogo, I chose sometime in November to December 25th, and so it was like a week and 10 or a month and 10 days.
Yeah,
and so I was like, yeah, there you go. I'll do that. So, but you really want to pay attention to when, because if you start on a Tuesday, everybody's doing their own thing on Tuesday, I guess, or whenever, but you really want to concentrate on when you start and when you stop.
Yeah.
And you really do want to have some sort of event, kind of like a closeout stream or something like that, for the start and the end. And then don't get discouraged during the middle, because you might have a couple people that sort of trickle in and kind of, join the campaign. But mostly, and this is sort of the psychology of people, itself, is that a lot of people don't want to back something that they feel is not going to be a success.
Exactly.
And a lot of people won't back something that somebody else hasn't jumped on and said, hey, you know what? That's really good. A lot of people will go to the movies because somebody else told them that the movie is good.
Sure.
A lot of people won't.
Referrals are the number one. I'm a salesman, so referrals are like almost as good as you got it. Like if I sell insurance to churches, so church reaches out to another church and says, hey, I like this guy. He's good service, good coverage, very responsive. It's like a sale. I didn't have to market to this next customer. It just, like, they call me up and they say, we want to switch. Just make sure it's roughly the same cost or lower. And if I can meet those two thresholds, which is, there's things that you can do to make it match. And
Yeah.
Boom. Referrals are so important. That's why we get on these live streams and stuff. And we're trying to connect, I'm trying to help you to connect to my,
Yeah, no, I completely appreciate the opportunity.
We're watching right now, and then hopefully in the future, you can have me on, and then we can, or somebody sees you on my thing that's a friend of yours,
Yeah.
and whatever you're doing in the future, and then they go, hey, I saw him on here, and then they check my stuff out, and so it's networking, obviously, and then
Definitely.
the network creates the referral, and it's like,
Yeah, it actually is a lot better than somebody coming in back. I'd rather somebody back the campaign versus fund the campaign.
Yeah.
Like if I had some people that came across with X, which is not the greatest platform. Oh my God, I was there. So I come from a background of I was in media for a bit, but then I got into just doing YouTube and sort of reviewing movies.
Yeah.
And I'd done that for a while, and that's why my channel is so old. Because I was back when YouTube was just used as a way or a place to upload video files.
Yeah.
Versus promoting yourself and having podcasts and videos and all kinds of stuff for people to digest. It wasn't like that back when when YouTube first started. So that kind of ages me a little bit, but I did a YouTube show for a while, and we had a consistent audience, but you had to keep coming back.
Exactly.
And you had to keep doing it every week.
Yeah. That's all figuring out how to get in front of the eyeballs, because we're so easily distracted, and there's things being thrown at everybody all the time. So how do you stay in front of the eyeballs to stay relevant, to stay in people's mind, so that when you have something that you would like to promote, that your audience is used to coming and seeing what you're doing, or whatever benefit they see in you, to come and consume your whatever content, or come check you out because you're doing something. And maybe it's not the best thing they've ever seen, but it's a consistent thing. Consistency is better, I think.
Yes, it is.
And then like a big flash in the pan, your super awesome comic lands, everybody buys it, and then you disappear for 2 years. That's no good. So it's better to, hey, I had a mediocre one, this one, but in 3 months I did another one, and they go, and then in another 3 months you do another one. Hey, this story is starting to shape up. You do number 4, and like, all right, I want to see how this ends. And then another 3 months, you do number 5, and people are just kind of used to, like, all right, he's doing something. They're not just sitting on their rear end. They're not just watching movies. They're not just playing video games. They're creating, and that's awesome to see. They start rooting for you, that kind of stuff. So you're trying to figure out, what can I do consistently? And we talked about it right before we got on. But that's why I do the Friday night draw stream, or the Sunday night draw stream.
I did a Tuesday night draw stream.
Yeah, you do it whenever,
for a bit. And I was consistent with it for a couple months, and then just life gets in the way.
Yeah.
And that can happen. The problem that I ran into with this particular comic was that I started drawing it, and I wasn't posting anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm drawing it. Everything's looking good. But I'm not sharing with anybody.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until this past summer that I was like, you know what? I should start making videos. I was like, I need to get back into this, because it was almost a year. It was almost a year.
Yeah. It's how do you present it? Do you just show the picture? Do you just flash the thing up? And it's really, video is we all know. I know that a video stops me as I'm scrolling. A video pops up. Hey, what's this person saying? Oh, they stink at this. Eventually, you don't stink as much as you used to when you first started doing it. Like, just hopefully you have something to say, or say it in an interesting way. And like, hey, this is my new page. Hey, this is hey, I went to see Superman, or hey, I went to do this. Superman, it was great. I saw that Supergirl trailer, and it stunk, or whatever, or I loved it. And but here, check out my comic. This is what I do. however you get in front of those eyeballs, video wise, I think would help out. You know, something that I'm thinking about in the future. It's just it's another thing, right? It's another thing to record. It's another thing. Do you edit it? How authentic does it come?
And that was one of my issues. One of the things that I struggled with was that, like, I was like, hey, okay, so if I'm spending time editing, that means I'm not spending time drawing.
Exactly.
And I was like, how do I compartmentalize? How do I say this is the time? So what you need to do is come up, and I still need to do this myself, but you need to come up with a schedule and adhere to the schedule.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, even if it means that you're not going to be editing from this time to this time, which means your content, who cares? What you want to do is go to YouTube Analytics, and it'll tell you, when do most people consume your content? Well, for me, it's on Saturday morning.
Oh, okay.
That's when most people look at my stuff. And I'm assuming it's kids. I don't know. I'm assuming, you know, it'll tell you. So it's like, okay, well then maybe work my drawing schedule around that to where I am recording. I do want to record myself drawing again, because I haven't. I know that they're in the software, it records, you know, as you go. Okay. But
what software do you use?
Well, okay. So for this particular project, so I've been using Photoshop and Illustrator since 2001. Okay. And that's what I'm proficient in. But then I got together with a friend of mine who's into manga, and they draw their own manga. And so they told me about another software that I'm kind of fluent in now, which is Clip Studio. So Clip Studio Paint is what I drew this comic with. Okay. And I did this. This right here is completely Photoshop. Okay. So this is Photoshop, and I'm great with Photoshop as far as, you know, just understanding how it works. With Clip Studio, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but since I already have background in Photoshop, it was a little bit, I just had to learn where the tools were that I needed. Yeah. But a lot of the drawing pens
can you record from Photoshop?
You can. Okay. You can. It takes up memory and it takes up space, but you can. There is there's a setting that you can turn on or turn off, to where you can record as you go, and it'll record your strokes. It does, you know, and so you know, you can do that, or you can do what's easier is and I guess with this whole AI thing now, that's going to be an issue with a lot of people. But you can do the thing where simply you have the line art with a white background, and you erase the white, and it reveals the color underneath. Oh, okay. And so, like, a lot of people don't. They're like, "Wow, you're just using a paintbrush, and it looks amazing." It's like, no, all they're doing is erasing the white layer, and the reveal. And I did that. I did that on I had some TikTok videos, and I did that with when I was promoting this. Yeah. But what they're doing with AI, since it's being, you know, become such an issue for a lot of creators, is and AI is a useful tool. Sure. I don't slam it. It is a great resource to help. Yeah. If you're using it to do the work for you, to where you're not doing any of the work, but AI is doing it, then it is not a good source. Don't use it that way. Yeah. But it is definitely, it's to me, it's like a, if I want to learn how to color, and I learned this through, you know, Photoshop and, you know, tutorials and AI, is I was learning how to color windows and glowing windows at night. Oh, okay. And I have it to where I got a pretty good idea on how to make it look like I can see the walls inside the apartment or room or whatever. Okay. And I was like, wow. So I did that on a cover, and I did that in the comic book as well. Right. And I mean, I don't know if it can zoom in, but well, maybe I can. Can let me see if I can, let me present. I can do that. So I can kind of visually show you what I mean. But yeah, I learned how to do that using hold on, I'm gonna share a screen. So you don't have to put me on. You don't have to put me on blast. If I can find out where I put it. Instagram, is that it? Hold on, I'm checking. Here it is. Here. No, here. I'm gonna present my screen. which is share screen. And I'm going to share this. And you'll see that pop up in a second. Down below. There you go. Okay, so if can I zoom? Yeah, I can. Look at that. Okay, so if you see, that looks like you can see inside the room.
Okay.
And if you go down here, you can kind of, it looks like you can see inside the room.
Okay.
Like there's the doorway, you know?
Yeah.
And same with this, there's the that looks like a light, you know, that looks like a light, that looks like, you know, there's the floor, there's the doorway, there's the other. Yeah. So that's sort of, it's a trick just using color.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And let me show you a couple Easter eggs here. Let me see. So I don't know if you recognize McDowell's.
Is that from,
it's from a movie.
Yeah, the Coming to
America. Joe's Pizza, 29-minute delivery guaranteed.
That's Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. Yep. Yeah. Flynn's. So if you remember Flynn's,
I don't.
Okay, so that's Tron.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
And then you got Ray's Occult Books.
No.
That's Ghostbusters. And then Smart Tech, which is 40-year-old virgin. Okay. And then the bank. Oh, over here. Let me see if I can. Yeah, that right there, the bank. That is from Batman the Animated Series intro. So,
okay.
So if you, but I have a whole bunch of, you know, I got a DeLorean down below.
Yeah. No, that's the fun of doing independent comics, right? Because I put, not only do I put my friends and things in there, I put. I mean, I could show you some Easter eggs, but I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to highlight, you know, putting Batman and Superman and Spider-Man in there in silhouette form, or, you know, like you'll see.
Well, you can definitely do that. And what I've learned through copyright and trademark laws is, and I have another image of Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man, but I'm covering up their trademarked logos.
Okay.
And so because you cover up their trademark logos or have them in silhouette, you don't get it. There is no copyright infringement.
Okay.
Because you're you know, you just have them in logo only, and that could be anybody, you know. And that was one of the reasons, or that was one of the things, of why I came up with my character and made him look the way he does. Is that, you know, he's got, people were like, oh yeah, that looks like Batman. I'm like, not really. It sort of looks like a kind of a Batman speedster, if you can see his ears. Yeah. And oh hey. So here he is. And yeah, I just wanted to give him his own look, so that if you could see him in silhouette, you could still recognize who he is. And that's how Batman works. That's how a lot of characters work. So when you're doing character creation, you definitely want to look at your character in silhouette and say, hey, is this character still recognizable? What about this character is recognizable, translatable to the eye?
Yeah.
And so that is, and that was the same thing for his emblem. I was like, when you create an emblem, what you want to do is create it to where if you could look at it for about 3 seconds and then look away, you can instantly remember, okay, well, I remember that there was like wings in a circle, you know, which is basically what this is. Wings in basically a halo, which is a sun disk, but, you know, okay, you know, everybody knows what a halo is. So yeah, I mean, you know, there's my my lore is steeped, and I've just put a lot of stuff into it. And like you said, you know, even with the Easter eggs, there's a lot that you can do as an independent creator that, you know, I don't have a committee telling me that, oh no, don't do this, don't do that, whatever. You know, it's like, this is my creation, and I am going to make it. I have a slew of people that I confer with, you know, and I bounce ideas off of, and if something doesn't sound right to them, they let me know. And you want to have people that are that will tell you no, like, no, that's a bad idea. That's that's really stupid. Because if all you have is people say, oh yeah, that's amazing, you know, and whatever, and you put it out there and everybody's like, that's bad. And they're like, oh, you just set me up for failure. So you always want to have people that can challenge you, not always be a contrarian, but to challenge you is definitely somebody that you want to have in your life.
For sure. All right, Ryan, we're going to wrap it up. I just want to make want to give you an opportunity to tell people where they can find it in the future here, because the campaign closed out yesterday.
Yes.
You said you would not advise closing a campaign out on
on a major holiday. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I would not do that in the future.
Where can they find it? You said you have like a second chance kind of.
It's like a second chance campaign, like a late pledge campaign that I think I need to activate. So I'm gonna look at that here today and see what I need to do.
I do have the links in the description for anybody who is looking to.
But at the bare minimum, go to zeevercomics.com and check us out there. Everything is available online on my website. I created the website from scratch on Squarespace. Well, not from scratch. You know, they have things that can help you out.
Oh yeah, templates.
They have templates, but I did use a lot of AI to help me out with coding.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff that I used on there. I had a countdown on the top of my page for the closeout and all that. So and definitely same thing with fonts. If you need a comic font, if you're not really good with writing the letters in the bubbles, I made a comic font that is also on my website that is available for download. And the Back to the Future font and Star Wars fonts and all kinds of stuff that's all on that I made myself, and digital prints like I have behind me. I don't have one of Daffy, but I did make that myself as well. Now I'm in the way. Daffy Duck as a Green Lantern. So and then the Batman Superman that is available also on my website, zeevercomics.com. Follow me on all forms of social media as well. So practically everywhere, Twitter or X, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, it's all at Zeever Comics. Okay. So if you just follow me there, you'll see everything that I've worked on, past, present, and of course, I'm going to continue. So there will be future. So and on the campaign, if anybody is interested, I will be doing starting the late pledge. I think that goes on for a week. So definitely check us out and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear back from anybody that lets me know what they think of what I have to offer. So that's definitely something that is worth a lot to me.
All right. So we're just going to say hi to Patrick Daniel in the house. Hello, gentlemen. And greatest cartoon intro. That's the Batman, I assume. Batman.
Yeah.
Intro.
Definitely.
What, I think he was talking about. And Jay Scott says hello to Pat. So we're going to end it there. So I appreciate you, Ryan, for taking some time with me. And,
man.
Hopefully the people watching will gain some insight on what to do and what not to do when you're.
And I think I'm going to make videos on what to do and what not to do. I think because one of the things that that I've learned is that you want to offer things that are available for purchase and all that, but you also want to give things away for free.
Yeah, for sure.
And the most important things to give away for free is knowledge.
Yep. So that's how you build you're a benefit to people. You're not just hawking your stuff.
It's not always a buy this, buy that campaign.
Yeah, no, we're all trying to do this, and every little nugget of knowledge that we can pass on helps somebody not to stumble over that same rock. So don't end your campaign on Christmas Day. That's a nugget. That's
a big one. I learned that very recently. So.
All right, Ryan and everyone, thanks for hanging out with us. So until next time, grace and peace. We are out.
From the shadows he rises with courage in his heart, a beacon of hope. He's ready to start with faith as his armor and a fire in his soul. Alpha Red stands tall, fulfilling his role. Alpha Red, the hero we need. With the power of faith, he'll always succeed. Fighting dark. fights for the righteous, his mission and work. Guided by God with strength from above, he battles the darkness with unyielding love. Alpha Red, the hero we need, with the power of faith, he'll always succeed. Fighting darkness, he'll never dread, for the world is safe with Alpha Red, Alpha Red. When the night seems too long and hope seems so far, look to the skies, you'll see his bright star. With a prayer and a promise, he faces the fight. Alpha Red shines through, the beacon of light. Alpha Red, the hero we need, with the power of faith, he'll always succeed. Fighting darkness, he'll never dread, for the world is safe with Alpha Red. So stand tall with courage, let your faith lead the way. With Alpha Red beside us, we'll see a brighter day. For evil may tremble, but never forget, the world is protected by our hero, Alpha Red. Alpha Red. Alpha Red.